Hey, I'm having my very first cup of coffee this morning. It's already cold. I'm outside because I'm the only one up. We got about 15 people in here asleep, but I'm getting ready to go get in a deer stand. Well, we hunted our 4 soldiers this weekend. 2 of the 4 soldiers got their bucks, but the 2 soldiers that I was filming, something happened that kind of reminded me of some things that I wanted to share with you this morning about the state of the hunting industry. And my first soldier that I hunted Saturday morning lives in Colorado Springs, grew up in Maine, hadn't been deer hunting since 2003. And right off the bat, early, first good light, I saw a buck out there, about 200. I ranged him 212, and he's milling around in some cedars. We're sitting way up on a bluff, looking down over a lot of country. And I said, "There's a buck out there." "Oh yeah," and he never could quite see it. Of course, it was in and out. I said, and I knew immediately that it's a young buck, but I know he's got 8 points. And I said, let's just wait till you get a look at him, and because I want you to see this buck to make sure that he's big enough for you. And finally, the buck stepped out, and he started moving towards us. And I jumped on the camera then. I had to get up on the camera. And he's moving, gets out in the open. We see him. He's coming right down towards us. And I said, "Is that big enough for you?" He goes, "Oh, he's big enough. He's big enough for me." I said, "Okay." I said, "Just hang on here." And he got up underneath us. Now, underneath us means he's still 100 yards. But he's down in the brush, milling around in some cedars. And he's in and out, kind of stressful. My soldier wasn't very tall. He had to stand up. He couldn't even sit down. He had to get up in the wind and stand up to shoot down on him. And I said, and I thought the buck was gone. And I actually got away from the camera, looking. He goes, "Oh, no, there he is. And he stepped out, and I'm on the camera. He's in the wide open, and I nabbed at him. And he stopped. I said, "All right, I'm on him. You can take the shot." Perfect. Down he went. I pulled back to him, and I guarantee you, if you could see the grin on his face, he goes, "We got him." I said, "You bet we did. We got him, buddy. All right." We got down there, and I guarantee he hadn't had that much excitement in his life since the last deer he shot in 2003. 2-year-old buck at the most, little small 8-pointer. Didn't make any difference to him. My next soldier from Florida, I don't know how many years since he's been hunting. He didn't even bring a rifle. He's kind of green a little bit when it comes to deer hunting. The next morning, out of the same blind, at daylight, good, just decent light, I could see the deer moving, kind of out in the open. He goes, "Well, that looks like a buck." And I threw my glasses up, and he swirled his head around, and I thought, "Oh my Lord, this is a big one." I didn't say that to him. I just said, "I think maybe we ought to shoot this deer." He goes, "Okay." I said, "Get your gun, get ready, get up." I get on the camera. I jump up on the camera, and it took a while. He stopped a little old puddle out there and got him a drink, and he's coming right to us. And it happened. It seemed like just seconds, but it took at least a minute. Moved down closer and closer and closer, and he's down up underneath us, which is under 100 yards. And the closer he got, the bigger he got. He's 2 foot wide, 150, 60-inch deer. He's a giant buck. And I said, "Okay." I said, I could hear him breathing. "Now relax. I said, I'm gonna try. He's got to stop. I got to nab at him. And when he stops, you're gonna need to and the buck stopped. He goes, "Well, I want him to be broadside." I'm thinking, he may not get broadside, buddy. "Well, okay, just wait." And he got up closer, just about to get away from us, up underneath. And I nabbed again. He turned broadside. I said, "There's a shot." I said, "You got it, shot. You gonna have to shoot? Need to take a shot." Yeah. And the buck took off. He was so wound up, he couldn't get the crosshairs on him. So, oh man, of course he was devastated. And I had to look over at him, and I said, "Hey, listen." I said, "What just happened to you has happened to all of us at least once." I said, don't you let that get you down. I said, "You and I just shared about 60, 70, 80 seconds of the most exciting stuff you'll ever have. He goes, I'm still shaking. We rewatched the footage, and he couldn't hardly breathe. He was still excited. Yeah. And this was all over with. Not one time did we ever say or mention to these soldiers about how old those deer were. We didn't care. They didn't care. And you know what? When that was happening to me and my others, Ryan, the second soldier, I don't have a clue how old that deer was. How would I know how old? And I thought to myself, that's how it happens in most instances to most hunters around the country. It's a flash. When the fire starts to roll and the emotions take over, you don't have a clue how old the deer is. When you got one that's got a rack 2 foot wide, you just go and go, he's big enough. When one's coming in and it's a little 8-pointer like this, if that one's big enough and your emotions are rolling, you're going to do the same thing that Chris said. Oh, he's big enough for me. He's big enough for you. He's big enough for me. If he's old enough for you, he's old enough for me. Let the air out of him. We're killing the sport, I believe, in many ways by trying to make this sophisticated, shooting a certain age buck and a certain size buck. My Lord, let's not take the reason why we do this out of the sport. The reason we do this is for the emotion, the thrill, the excitement when it gets on you, regardless of how old or how big the buck is. I was reminded of that this weekend with 2 Purple Heart veterans that'll go away from here with some unbelievable, great memories and some emotion that I got to share with them. My Lord, have a great hunting experience this fall. Let's see some more pictures on Facebook of those little forked horns and tiny bucks that have been shot by people with emotion and with a thrill. The first buck I mounted and put on my wall was a forked horn, and I was fired up about it. And wasn't nobody going to tell me that I shot the wrong buck. God bless you. Have a great day. I'm getting ready to go get in the deer blind.